getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Ray Esports Club Racing League. This is round number 1 for group number 2, coming to you today from Summit Point. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me in the commentary booth for tonight's show, making their SMB debut, is Howie Burroughs. Howie, welcome into SMB. This is far from the first show that we have done together, but this is the first time that we have done one here on SMB. So first off, welcome into SMB, welcome into Summit Point, and welcome in to the Mustang FR500s. These are some of the oldest cars on iRacing, but man, oh man, they are some fun.
Well, you had me, Ron, with the mention that it was going to be Mustangs and Mazdas, and then you also had me when you told me it was Summit Point. It does feel like I've been transported back to 2008 with this one, but I love absolutely both of these. It's a very old school, very driver heavy, very fun muscle car on a track that everybody knows a little bit too well, but it's always door to door around here.
Oh, it certainly is going to be a lot of door-to-door racing throughout tonight's broadcast, and as Howie mentioned, we got some Mazdas coming up, the old Spec Miatas, not the new MX-5s. That is what we had in Group 1. Here, though, we've got those Spec Miatas that we'll be able to look forward to a little bit later on this evening, but for now, though, we have already got qualifying times getting set on the board, so let's talk about them. Let's see what we've got going on at the current moment, seeing some names already pop up, and we'll be able to get that loaded up if I can get some WD-40 on the graphics. We'll give that a whirl. There we go. You can see it for a brief moment. DJ Alessandrini, our top qualifier at the current moment, another commentator that you can catch here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in the Liberty Bell series not every single, but sporadically on Sunday evenings. You'll be able to catch the action there. And one of our very own commentators, Michelle Lynn, over in that series as well. As I realize I need to get something up and rolling, we'll talk about some of the times here in just a few moments time, but I'll let you all know if you are enjoying this broadcast, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on the racing action. With that being said, everything up and rolling, let's get the graphics back up there fully so we can break down what is going to be a truly nuts day of racing action.
This track, as I've said, it gets you very, very door-to-door racing throughout. A lot of fast sections and some corners that really encourage you to take them as quick as possible. In a few turns' time, as we'll see on DJ Alessandrini's view, you have the chute, that really fast left-hander that everybody just wants to try and take without going wide into the gravel. And then you slow it down for the back portion of the track. It's got a little bit of everything in it. And it's short, it's very, very, very tight to put this many cars around, but I think that's going to lead to even more fun. I'm sure these cars can take a bit of contact.
You know, we usually see it in the American Muscle series that you have also been able to catch here on Slow Motion Broadcasting throughout the years. It was one of the first ever series here on SMB and always puts on some good racing. These cars, heck of a lot of fun. This is my first time covering them myself, but not the first time covering many of these races. In fact, here is a member of Ray Esports royalty. It's Miles Crabb in the 131 car. Usually see him run well in these series. First time I've ever seen him run in one of these Mustangs, but looking to see what he can do here in this session as he's currently qualified second with about 5.5 minutes already in our rear view mirror. So very early on in this qualifying session though, lots of drivers looking to set some lap times between now and the very end. We'll give some thanks to some sponsors in the other not too far off future. For now though, trying to get all my ducks in a row here on the production truck. I'll pass it back off to you, Howie, so we can talk about the challenges and the quirks and features of this very old track on iRacing, but an absolute classic, that being Summit Points.
Pretty sure you have some personal history here, but it turns out it's more than just the 25 cars on the tower here on the track. I'm seeing up to 35 set qualifying times right now. I don't even know quite how you could fit that many American muscle cars on this circuit. It is a very, very small and tight one of those included iRacing circuits that it very much gets fields of 12 and then it feels busy. But it's going to lead to a lot of action up and down the field. I feel bad for Ron. He's not going to be able to catch all of it, but he's going to catch every last bit he possibly can. That first half, very, very fast, and then you slow it down for the carousel section. Kevin Zhu's car there really sliding through the exits. Some very tall curbs as well. These cars do have some quite compliant suspension, but I don't imagine you want to flip them today.
Oh, you sweet summer child. You were not around for Group 1 action from Daytona last week. It was, I think, like 40 MX-5s at Daytona, and then we had about 35 Spec Racer Fords. That was probably the most insane night of racing action that I have called in my entire broadcasting career, let alone the most insane racing action that I've ever produced. It was absolute madness there 1 week ago. I do want to give a thank you, though, as we are still early on in the show. So we see Andrew Love jump up to P11 there in this qualifying session. Well, I'll give a thank you to Whiplash SimCams providing their car cams for tonight's broadcast, and do also have some thank yous to give. Of course, Drive Trainer Motorsports, the sponsor of the Spec Miatas that you will see a little bit later on here this evening. We'll talk about them in due course, but I also want to thank the JayBastBlast Twitch channel that you can catch streaming on most Tuesday and Thursday nights for all kinds of iRacing action, from road races, Mustangs, and even ovals for that matter. We would also like to thank ittyBitBetter for bringing the action this week as well. ittyBitBetter is an engineering consultant company for professionals bettering buildings through energy, sustainability, and healthy spaces. We have educational resources and a process improvement tools to help make you an itty bit better. Sign up for their newsletter today. Again, early bird discount for their Discord community soft launch coming soon. Find out more at ittyBitBetter.com and stop by the JayBastBlast Twitch channel at twitch.tv/JayBastBlast. Lots of alliterations, I believe, would be the correct technical term in those sponsor reads. It's been a hectic day. I think I got my tongue wrapped around my teeth about 17 times there, so I'll pass it back off to you, Howie, as I go and drink a whole bottle of WD-40.
You're going to need some time to recover after all the JDDBBBBastBlast. Got it. I think I nailed it. I think I'm suited exactly for this role. Only a minute left to go. Still a few qualifying laps left to go around the field, but most drivers are done for now. Quite quick lap times on the board. 1 minute 19 is our fastest. Most are going to be running in the range of the 1 minute 20s. The slowest lap, say 1:26, but most are in 20 to 21. It's very, very close. Between 8th and 23rd, every driver's within a second of each other, so it's pretty tight the whole way down the field, and that's before you start getting them side by side. There are some spots on this track where you can run side by side. You don't necessarily always want to.
Yeah, especially in these Mustangs, which, I mean, just looking at Chuck Labano heading his way up through the tight twisties right at the top end of the racetrack, these cars are massive. I mean, I can't necessarily say I have the idea of scale down pat too much, considering the last time I did a broadcast here at Summit was just this past Saturday with the Formula V weekend Warriors running here. So going from a Formula V to a Mustang is basically like going from a Cessna 152 to a 787 Dreamliner. It is a big change in terms of size, in terms of scale, in terms of just about everything that comes to these race cars. So going to be a bit of a reset for my mind at the very least, but going to be a fun way to get this season of Group 2 action up and rolling here for the Ray Esports Club Racing League, seeing that pace car already populating, some drivers line up. So let's take a look at tonight's starting grid for the first race of this Group 2 season. It's going to be DJ Alessandrini starting this race from the pole. David Fench set to join him on the front row. Miles Grab going to start in third alongside Kyle Robertson in fourth. Matt Thompson will be in fifth alongside Kevin Zhu in P6. Chuck Labano will be in seventh. Alongside him will be Casey Knight. Ian Anderson will start this race in ninth, with Freddie Weaver rounding out our top 10.
There's over 30 on the grid here. Andrew Love's in 11th from Ryan Campbell in 12th. Trenton Kramer's in 13th. Thanks to Edgar Sanchiel. Charles Bowley is in 15th. Thanks to Aaron Bray. We have Seth Spallman in 17th. Brandon Smith in 18th. Joshua Justice in 19th. And John A. Casey in 20th.
Then looking through the rest of the field, we got Michael Kelly starting this race in 21st, Randy Marino in 22nd, Scott Russell will start this race in 23rd, Joe Cicchetti will start in 24th, looking right behind, and I don't even think this is the last page of drivers. We got Jeff Bernard starting this race in 25th, Brandon Carl in 26th, Bowie Swen in P27 with Lucas Bachman in 28th, Scott Brooks will be in 29th, Charles Bowley yet again in 30th. Yeah, Charles Bowley, I'm not sure whether he's, I forget the correct technical biological term when an organism splits. I think it's mitosis. I'm testing my high school knowledge here. I don't believe that's correct. Is that the correct technical term? I'm not too sure.
I think that's mitosis.
See, I didn't pay attention enough in class in school to really know that information at heart, so I commend you, Howie, for being able to correct me here on this show. Joaquin Effinger will start this race in 31st alongside Tom Wendt. Mike Key will be in 33rd alongside Sean Condon. And then we have got Wayne Buttermore in 35th, Jeremy Morgan in 36th, and that will not be it, as Will Pierre and Travis Trussell will complete your 38-car starting grid here for this round of the championship. You know, we were expecting a full field, and we got one.
Praise be to the rolling start, giving you enough time to deal with this, because and praise be to the fact that it's a fairly quick lap as well. But I wonder if that grid stretches all the way back past that last turn. Areas of note on this track, I'd say it's not it's the wagon bend and the chute are the two really fast ones as you leave turn one. The chute especially, very easy to go just a bit wide onto the gravel. Look out for that last turn as well. I believe they call it paddock bend. Everybody wants to do it flat in every car they have. I don't think these cars can quite do it flat, but they like to believe. It really stretches out wide onto a bunch of tarmac surface on the outside, and people are going to absolutely be using the limits of it. These cars are quite heavy, so unlike some of the other cars you usually see run around here, so they're not quite going to have all the nimbleness to really get around some of these corners at high speed, but they're going to try, and they're going to slip, as we've seen already in qualifying.
I think the correct technical term to describe these cars would be chunky. That's at least what I usually described myself as a child. So, but these cars are big. They're quite large, and doubly so on this racetrack. I mean, we can see from the slow motion broadcasting blimp view heading off through the tight and twisties at the top end of the circuit. I mean, they're going side by side, 2x2. Pace car speed, pace car gaps, but they still pretty much use 100% of this racetrack. So it is a massive race car. I would say probably the FR500 is probably up there, and the top 5, maybe even the top 3 in terms of the biggest road course cars that we've got here on iRacing. They're huge. One of the original cars on iRacing too, and still no longer a part of base content. In fact, I had to buy this car to get everything up and rolling here for this show. So either way you slice it, it's a fun car for the people who do drive it. I need to campaign it myself because I think we'll have a heck of a lot of fun racing that as I embarrass myself out there on the road instead of just embarrassing myself behind a microphone. But let's get up and rolling here from the first race of Group 2 action from the Right Esports Club Racing League. It's David Fench and DJ Alessandrini at the front row as we wait for that green flag to come out. Waiting for it with the flag man holding it. The green flag is out. The drivers are on their way, and we're racing here at Summit Point. Pretty even keel start with everybody. Not right behind, though. Look at Miles Crab already shuffling off into the dirt. That's going to be a wild ride for him as he gets shuffled his way down the field. We already got a driver that just ballparked it there in the background. They're wrecking big time. Wayne Buttermore, I think, at the epicenter of all that drama as he begins to shuffle back. It's been a hectic start. I think Mike Key may have just gone to the Shadow Realm.
There is a ramp there, and I have seen people use it for fun, but it's not recommended in racing conditions. Half an hour of racing, and unfortunate to lose it out that early, but it was tight and congested on that starting grid. Everyone else has gotten it out pretty much single file. Alessandrini here managed to get the lead out of the first turn, and David French, Carl Robertson, and Kevin Zuerli, 3 drivers behind. A little bit of movement in that second and third and fourth, but other than that, everyone's pretty much settled out, and I think they might be already starting to play a little bit for the long run. A lot of the battling's happening further back.
Yeah, a lot of battling going on a little bit farther behind them for racers who have cut their way through the field like a hot knife through butter. Look at this man. It's Will Pierre. He's behind the wheel of the number 38 car, and you want to know how many spots he's gained ever since the drop of the green flag? 12. He's made up 12 spots since the drop of the green. Incredible stuff from Pierre. We'll look to see what he can do between now and the very end of this race, but already up there. It's a darn good statement to make early, as just saw some side-by-side battling go on with Aaron Bray. He's actually the scorekeeper in the Ray Esports world, handles the points and everything relating to the Ray Esports Club Series, along with the other Weekend Warriors. As that's some side-by-side battling going on a little bit farther up the road. I cut it a little bit too far in front. It's Trent Kramer in the midst of a battle with a very, that feels fitting to have the black with the flames on the front of one of these Mustangs.
That is absolutely, that looks like it came out of Need for Speed Underground 2 or something. I always forget that I'm sort of part of the generation that is way further ahead than you. I always see you as, for some reason, on par with me. But I remember the good old the PS2 days. I could go back even further. That's sort of like I could go back to Gran Turismo on the PS1 if I wanted. But that does feel quite old school. It does feel like the sort of thing you would make in an old video game on that track. I'm noticing the actual map passing opportunities here. They're not significant. Drivers don't want to go side by side into these super high speed turns. These cars are pretty light, but a big mistake here from Freddie Weaver ahead. We saw him wobble. I thought maybe he'd get past it. He's gotten away with it for now, but Trenton Kramer's going to be watching that, because one thing these cars are quite the unstable kind if you make them uneasy. There's a big run. Oh, he backs out of it.
Oh, he may now be at risk of getting overtaken by Ian Anderson. Let's see. Anderson gonna go for the move down the inside, heading downtown to turn number 1. No! He gets sandwiched big time there as Ryan Campbell. Not sure whether that car was powered with milk or what, but Anderson with the stones to stick a 3 wide. What a move. Is that a Hatsune Miku car that I see there? Miku with the move of a lifetime.
I put Miku on all of my cars, so I will always celebrate Miku's supremacy. You are going to have to see drivers get more and more brave as this race goes on. There are chances for it. I think people are just a little bit scared off because of how busy it is. But as time builds, people are going to get a little bit less patient. And eventually they're going to, I think, start making these moves on each other. I wouldn't at all say that it's just going to be single file to the end. Up in front, Alistair Drini is running away from David Finch. Kyle Robertson doing much of the same. That top 3 pretty secure, as this is what it's like to run a fast lap. Alistair Drini runs into that final turn, takes a little bit of the curb, runs out wide on the tarmac exactly as much as he needs to. That is how you get a good exit out of one of the most important turns on this track, given how long this straight is.
Oh, it is so long as you head your way around this racetrack. Disproportionately long, I think, would probably be the correct technical term to use to break out my thesaurus here tonight, as this is a battle involving Casey Knight, Kevin Zhu, and Chuck Labano in the midst of all this as well. Nice to see Labano out there on the racetrack, a driver that I've done some officiating with before, and a driver who we covered a decent amount of last season for season 2024-25 of the Ray Esports Club Racing League. He's slotted in 6th in that 346 Frito Sport car, and we'll say, kind of talking about Frito Sport, Frito himself, Mr. Edgar Sancinelli, going to be part of the team that's now the steering committee for the American Muscle Series, as their old pal Mr. Randall McGrew has kind of yielded the reins from that series and is now going to put that in the hands of Edgar. Really looking forward to seeing what American Muscle can do as they look forward to, I believe that'll be... I'm not going to say it's their 10th season, because I may be mixing that up with XSLR here on SMB that I usually produce. So I'm going to refrain from making any further comments. I will fact check myself and provide that information on due course, probably during the Weekend Warriors shows this Saturday and Sunday. That'll be when I provide my correction there. But in the meantime, we've still got some battling throughout a decent chunk of the top 10, as DJ Alessandrini sets a quick time with a 119.184. The battling for the final few spots inside the top 5, though, still very intense.
I'll say Drini's laps are extraordinary. He's going almost a second faster every single lap. I've been watching that for the last few. The one before, he was a second faster. So he just knows he could be running into lap traffic at the pace he's going, quite frankly, because there's just these laps are just coming one after another. Must say, Casey Knight's one of the few driver names I recognized almost immediately. She was a big part of the Production Car Challenge community. That's like my favorite series to abuse myself in on iRacing, and she was really into the Mustangs. So of course, when I see Mustangs and she shows up in one of those in that series, I'm like, of course Casey Knight would be here. I hear the M2 is sort of like roughly it scratches the same itch, but all at the same time nothing's quite like this car. I remember playing iRacing when this was in PCC, but I don't think I ever actually got to drive it. Kevin Zhu's on her rear bumper and right now hasn't gotten the pass through, but he did get quite close to her earlier on in the lap, so the racing remains close here. That's one car pulling off to the side. I think that is a lapped car already early on in the race, just getting out of the way for the 2. And Kevin Zhu's got a decent run out of the corner. I think Casey just slowed up a bit. How's the draft in these things? Let's find out.
I gotta imagine it's pretty strong. Is side-by-side racing gonna go on between Zhu and Knight, heading their way downtown into turn number 1. Look at that 05 of Zhu on the inside of Knight in the 36. There we go, heading down into turn number 1. Gotta keep it tight, keep it tidy. And who's gonna get this spot? As much as Zhu had the advantage of holding onto the inside line, heading all through turn number 1 and 2. Now got stuck on the outside through turn number 3. And this track bottlenecks big time all through this part of the circuit. He's gotta try and go for the cutback, though. There we go. Side-by-side racing once again gonna flare up between these two competitors. And now in through the tight twisties right now. Zhu sweeps around the outside and gets the move done. What a fight.
I need to correct myself one last time. The definitive term is definitely Wagon Bend, because the chute is another one. But Wagon Bend is my favourite turn here, and that was the source of much of battle. But Kevin Zhu not quite done. I think that's another lapped car in the way, but it's helped create a bit of a wedge between the two because it slowed up Casey just that little bit more because such a difficult part of the track to run into them. I think she may be back, although I do see Ian Anderson sort of on the wings as well. Bit of a split out for now. See how they take the last turn. Really got to use the whole track width on exit to maximize speed there. Alessandrini is now 5 seconds ahead. It's that much faster, and back here it's chaos trying to get through lap cars. You could just about fit 3 wide here, but it's a struggle.
Yeah, you can fit 3 wide here. You don't want to. And that's what's making it really tense up towards the front of this field. Freddie Weaver going side by side with Trent Kramer once again. Kramer on the inside, Weaver on the high side. Ryan Campbell and Chuck Labano going to have their own little battle here as well. Let's keep an eye on them as they head their way down into turn number 3. Weaver gets that move done over Trent Kramer, and Labano going to get the spot done. But no, Weaver going to go off into the gravel trap. He's going to get slowed down a lot and through into that spot. Through into P8 is going to go Chuck Labano, and now keep an eye on the driver right behind. That's Ryan Campbell. We'll run on board with him here in a couple of moments because he's going to be smelling blood in the water too, but Campbell does not have a complete straight shot at this either because as we ride on board and look from the top of his race car, you got to worry about the back of it as well and see that slowly but surely Aaron Bray once again involved in this battle runs out the top 10 too.
That's how Wagon Ben gets you. Oh, there's one off the track. That is Trenton Kramer's Flame Mustang. But that's how Wagon Ben gets you. The intuitive line, unfortunately, just runs right through the middle of a big gravel patch in your way. Here's what happened to Trenton Kramer's car. I think it might have just been a little touch of the grass. That's pretty harsh. A really tiny tap coming off the curb. I think most people have done a move like that, but that time the car did not like it.
Yeah, I think the curb really just off-put that car pretty badly. Now, I will fully throw up my hands and say I bought this car today, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. But based off that, I can imagine it responds to the curbs just about as well as Radical SR10 does, whereby in the sense that it does not like the curbs at all. The curbs do not like it. It is a hate-hate relationship.
It might just be more that the curbs here are so strange. Like, half of them are just like big walls, almost like the Nürburgring, where they're just so tall and they'll cause a big bounce. I see suspension with a lot of travel in these cars. It's sort of how the weight can shift around. And imagine the weight in this car is so important, but some of them are just causing this thing to go and jump. And I'm used to sort of commentating light cars around here. You'll send something like a Mazda, which we may see later today, which is light and agile, whereas this is just such a brick. It's hard to move around here.
I think very briefly, Ryan Campbell got abducted by a UFO, and then we cut to a shot in the camera that our perverted cameraman Phil had there, looking at somebody's nether regions. Not touching that one. But Freddie Weaver still trying to apply some pressure to Ryan Campbell here. We're gonna pretend that did not come out of my mouth, and we'll swiftly and abruptly move on. About 0.3 of a second separate these two competitors as they head their way down the down the start-finish stretch, I should say, heading off into turn number 1. There really is no back straightaway on this circuit. You pretty much just have the start-finish line, and that is basically it. There's no other sections of this racetrack, maybe with the exception of the run between 2 and 3, where you're going flat out for an extended period of time and don't have to worry about turning. As here we go, this is a nice move from Will Pierre to jump his way up into P17. Now 20 spots gained for Will Pierre ever since the drop of the green flag, a competitor who we saw really rip it in some touring cars last season in the Ray Esports series. He's now running fantastic in these Mustangs.
Just takes a little bit of going up 20 must have mean you started from the very back of the row, and it just takes a little bit of everyone else's misfortune to slowly give you the places you need. It's going to be hard to make it up now, though, I think, because now you're starting to hit the critical mass of faster drivers on the field, and already a third of the way through distance, more than a third of the way through race distance. But you take a look at that track map there's activity almost everywhere. I want to be on the side of the track right now rather than sitting at home in my comfortable bedroom, because there's a little bit of something to see everywhere. Not a huge amount of side by side, but when the chances open up, I think that makes them more exciting.
And unfortunately, because of the positioning of the camera and the rather bizarre track layout here at Summit Point, you could see most of the track from the track map graphic, but not all of it. That is limitations of our wonderful production software here, but never mind the production software. We got some awesome racing action here. Charles Boley in the number 63 car, currently duking it out with Edgar Sancinelli right around. Let's actually run on board with Frito here. Got a good idea as to how he's going to try and tackle this. He's got Boley right in front of him, and he'll look farther behind. He's got his teammate Matt Thompson right in tow, so gotta worry how he's gonna make this move done. He's gonna try and capitalize on it, heading out of 3 down into the turn. That's gonna be some gutsy stuff. Boley just barely keeps it on the road in that number 63 car, but this 4-car battle that we've got on screen right now is very, very tense.
Felt like there was no space there at all to go for that, but I say no space, and he did do it anyway. That certainly was bold, but having to back out of it slowed him down quite a bit. Brandon Smith is getting away right now, and I think that in this car you have to really commit to a pass. It does not come to you for free. I'll be real, I didn't buy this car. So I actually haven't driven it myself. I probably should, because it's one of those, like, I love the obscure cars in iRacing. I love the weird ones. I own the Michelin, and I've driven it in official. So I love the someone off the track very, very dangerously in place. I love the stuff that's a little bit more of a deep cut out there on the field. And the Mustang, it's a sort of a retro classic for those PCC lovers. Here's Ian Anderson on board. I'm not sure what happened, but I don't want to know that it happened to my Miku Mobile.
Unfortunately,
37 car up ahead is the one that took the contact, and that's 2 cars down and out. I'm not really sure what happened to Jeremy Morgan to get him in that position, because it seemed like he was a little bit all over the road.
So let's see. He was run a little bit slow. I think he was just trying to get out of harm's way there. Maybe got a little bit spooked. That was
trying to be helpful. That is. I'm trying to facilitate you all. I'll get out of the way, and we find why the advice ends up being hold your line in these situations, because when you try and be helpful, mistakes can happen.
Yeah, usually just being predictable is the best way to go about all of it. Unfortunate to see those two collide. Anderson was putting together a very, very good race. Was running, I believe, in 6th at the time of that incident going down, because Casey Knight was one of the drivers that arrived at the scene of that. As speaking of Knight, she's still battling with Kevin Zhu right now. This is the battle that has been going on between these racers throughout a vast majority of this race. The battle for the final 2 spots inside the top 5 going to be intense in the run-up to the line, as it has been throughout the first half. We'll say, gotta bring this up. I always like bringing it up whenever I'm on cameras, because I can pull up the graphic whenever I want to myself. If you're enjoying tonight's action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. It's a lot better to do those plugs when you got control of the button yourself. But as we see this battling going on with these competitors, do want to jump to a battle a little bit further behind with some racers that I don't think we have focused on too much. It's Jeff Bernard leading a train, including the likes of himself, Tom Wendt, Joe Cicchetti, I believe Bowie Swen, right at the back end of this battle.
Fighting for any position is fun, no matter what, but 4 cars does really complicate it for these drivers.
Whoa!
Because, and that's a complication. Jeff Bernard, contact and around, and he'll be out of this battle.
And we're going to have to load up replay to figure out exactly what went down there. Yeah, more drivers piling in, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken. That right there, the Marino was not Marino. I believe that was, I think it was Lucas Bachmann. Bachmann got away with that rather scot-free. I'm going to try and figure out exactly what happened there. Perfect. There was a driver. It was, I believe, I'm trying to remember exactly who. I believe it was Caleb Pocock after the Spec race, Ford race, 1 week ago, who asked whether or not I was psychic, and I'm not. I just, I guess, have a trained eye to know when chaos is going to break down out there on a racetrack. They have Michael Kelly in all this. Let's, yeah, I think that may have been Kelly. It's looking similar. Let's see. You can see all the chaos going on down there. There's some more drama. The driver nearly went for a round of bowling heading downtown into the turn, and there goes the hood, popping off like a misshapen Lego.
One driver trying to slow down, the other not quite noticing it. Let me tell you, as a very seasoned producer, that trust me, we do have a second eye for when these things happen. It does develop quite quickly. And it does, yes, there is magic involved, but trust me, we have special senses that you people will simply not, be entitled to. So, you know, maybe you should get in the production game one day, and then you'll find out what it's like. 10 seconds to leave Alessandrini. I mean, talk about a fast car on the track. Every lap just faster than the last. Extraordinary pace. Probably having quite a lonely day out here, although a lot of cars have gotten lapped on the track. So there's still drivers to pass. I believe only the top 16 are on the lead lap, if I'm reading your overlay correctly.
Yeah, it's certainly close to it. That is for darn sure. As just looking at the lap times that DJ Alessandrini has set as of recent here, you can see that gap slowly but surely getting irked out. That could have ended in tears. That right there, I believe, once again, as I tried to sing the Macarena, was Jeremy Morgan in the 37 car.
Not the first time.
Yeah,
Not the first time, Jeremy Morgan.
It's not the first time. I think there may have been a spin for him that kind of caused that moment to take place. But we were saying that it was going to be a terrifying, like a smooth run, but that was a terrifying moment for sure for DJ Alessandrini. Anyways, to touch on the point that I was raising before it sounded like I sat on cold toilet seats, you can see the gap has grown between Alessandrini and Fench. 1.7 seconds, one lap, 0.3 next. This is the first time that the gap has really gone down, but you can't necessarily say that you can blame Alessandrini for that moment, as I think we'll take a look, see exactly what set Jeremy Morgan off to be in that position in the first place.
It is a tricky car around here, so I don't fault anyone, but it's very unfortunate that it happened right at this time, because that was a leader that thankfully had the survival instinct to sort of know, I have to slow down here and lose time. When you have 10 seconds, you can slow down as much as you want. He doesn't wait on the side of the track, does he? He rejoins right in front of the leader. Oh, mamma mia.
Ooh, yeah, that was a rather catastrophic rejoin, if I am being completely honest. I believe he's a newcomer to this series, but that is still a bit iffy. We'll just chalk it up to a beginner trying to get his bearings straight on iRacing. That was yeah, we're gonna move on. We're gonna pretend that none of that happened. We will say, as we get into the final 10 minutes of this race, DJ Alessandrini holds on now to an 8.2 second gap between himself and David Fench. I'll give some love to Fench, because I don't think we've focused on him too much, if not at all, throughout the show. But there he is in that, I'd say, very nice looking car. I don't know why. When I look at this, I just think of I'm split between whether I think of the Joker or think of Teen Titans. Not Teen Titans Go, the actual good show, Teen Titans.
Fench is an unfortunate victim of being second in a race like this, because everything's going to be talked about, oh, look at how much he's being dominated by first, look at how big the gap is. And we forget the inevitable reality that also he's very fast, he's second fastest driver here, and he hasn't given up a place to Carl Robertson at all. And sometimes a P2 is still pretty good when the rest of the field has gotten this tangled. So, you know, we're not, let's be kind, and let's give credit where it's absolutely due. It's been a very, very good run, but just one driver that clearly knows their stuff up ahead.
Yeah, credit where credit is due to all of these racers for keeping it smooth, keeping it clean, keeping it on the road. And we may have a battle for second in the not-too-far-off future involving Fench and Kyle Robertson, is slotted in third in the 215 car. Usually here on SMB, whenever there's a 215 car, it's my fellow Philadelphian. Is it Philadelphian or Philadelphiite? I believe it's Philadelphian. I'm just saying that for the bit. Michelle Lynn, a very nice person. While the series admins over on the Formula V Weekend Warriors usually runs that 215 car, just as the Philadelphia area code representation. But Kyle Robertson, the 215, putting on a darn good drive at the moment. We'll have to see what he can do between now and the very end. We've kept tabs on this battle that has unfortunately cooled off between Kevin Zhu and Casey Knight. Those two occupy the final two spots inside of the top five. Chuck Labano is slotted in sixth. Ryan Campbell in P7. Freddie Weaver is right behind in P8. And there's the time for the camera to fully swap. Trent Kramer with that flame car. I'm sorry, that is, see, it's tacky, but it's tacky in a way that I like. I think the best way I could describe it's like a leopard print rug. It's tacky, but
I
it's a
love
cool
it.
kind of tacky.
It's character.
Exactly.
As I said, if you played Need for Speed back in the day, you put flames on the side of your car and they looked awesome.
Yeah.
And we went away from that. So, yeah.
And Trent's a cool guy as well. He runs a Mini Cooper with the SCCA in real life, and he also has the nickname Nostradamus here on the SMB Discord server. Now, based off of like moderator reports and all that stuff, I know it was me that gave him that nickname, Nostradamus. I think it was after a Ray Esports broadcast last season, but I can't remember exactly the context surrounding why I gave him that nickname. All I know is that I gave him that nickname, but either way, fantastic racer, great guy, and running in that 444 car in P9 at the moment, so we'll see what he can do between now and the end. Aaron Bray has a battle on his hands. It's actually 3 cars strong. Got Bray battling at the moment at the lead of this pack, but right behind you got Josh Justice, and right beyond Justice, you've got Matt Thompson. Now, you've got a lot of different levels of experience in this battle between these competitors. You got Bray, who I said a little bit earlier on, the scorekeeper here in the other Ray Esports world, does some fantastic work and a pretty darn good racer too. Joshua Justice, who's a real-life Spec Racer 4 driver with the SCCA, and Matt Thompson, who, as you can see, has actually driven a Mustang around Laguna Seca, unless that's just a photo that he's ripped off from the internet, and he has never actually driven that himself. I'm not sure if he would do that. I believe he has some driving experience in real life, and very good here in these cars. A veteran of Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors competition, along with the American Muscle Series. That Frito Sport contingent is always very strong. That is Ian Anderson off the track there on the inside. I do not want to cut to that shot because I feel like it will make you cry seeing Miku in the dirt. Miku with the leaks. There we go.
I mean, I did get it out of my system the first time, I think. That is just one of those days. But, I mean, this car has tempted a lot of people into making little missteps. And it's been very, very punishing when people do make those missteps. It rarely has been like a new driver's car. I do remember when it was in the production car challenge and it was the fast car that went flying by, and that was quite an interesting dynamic it added because it was a real handful, and it was known as that one that like people struggled to drive. Here's Matt Thompson looking behind, and they battle up ahead. Joshua Justice on the inside gets the outbreak. It's nice to get that inside line into that turn. There's some newly laid down asphalt on the inside, and that can give you a good run. But I have a feeling that the driver behind might lose out another place alongside. Yes, Aaron Bray just loses it out to Matt Thompson, and that's 2 for 1. Oh, that gravel there, that is some nastily placed gravel, I must say. It's my favorite turn, but that stuff is wild.
Yeah, that gravel, I could best describe it as essentially being a brick wall here at this racetrack. You hit it, and you're pretty much going to feel like you slammed into a brick wall, especially in a lightweight race car. I can't remember what broadcast it was that I was doing recently. I'm pretty sure it was here on SMB, unless my memory is not serving me correctly, which it usually doesn't, as that was Freddie Weaver with a bit of a wiggle coming at turn number 9, trying to give us a spook as we jump to this battle with himself and Kramer. However, it was a driver running off into the gravel trap, and they nearly flipped themselves. Actually, I remember what it was. It was a broadcast over on Race Spot, so that was pretty different, but was in a GT4 car, which are quite big, quite heavy. So the fact it can happen into a GT4 leads me to believe that could very much so happen in a Mustang. As we got ourselves some battling once again flaring up between Matt Thompson and Josh Justice. A swapperoo between these competitors looking to go on as Thompson tries to jump into that spot inside the top 10 and gets it done successfully over Josh Justice. Justice now gonna have to be the one slip back in tow, trying to find any way in the book to get past that racer right in front of him.
I think if he stays in tow in time for that first turn, he'll do it again. But that said, running very, very wide, Matt Thompson, slow on exit, but takes the natural racing line. That sort of blocks off Justice's way. I think he just wants to stay relatively close during this final section and then hopefully get the run out of that last turn, because we've seen the runs you can get down the start-finish straight here, and they are extraordinarily long. But I'm keeping an eye on Bray as well. There's sort of 3 cars in with this if anyone falters along the way. as this exit really means everything. It's, as you've mentioned, the only real straight on this circuit. There's not really a second one to use. So if you could beat someone out coming out of this last turn, you'll get the run of a lifetime. It's Randy Marino a little further back, because I think there's been an incident. That's Lucas Bachmann running slow. I think something must have happened between the two of them, but you'd know more than me. I'm trying to read your mind.
Oh, that's a dangerous thing to do. Not necessarily saying, oh, that's another trip off the track. And that's actually DJ Alessandrini trying to negotiate all that. He's extended that gap now to 11.3 seconds up at the front. So really staking his claim on what has been a dominant drive up to this point here in the race. As I'm trying to figure out, there hasn't been a crash registered here. So that is a little bit strange, little bit peculiar, little bit odd, no matter how you slice it here. We'll try and get down to the bottom of this here. I believe this may be it, just to see various things. There was a battle that was going on between Bachmann and Randy Marino, and there was a contact. And a little bit of karmic debt, I guess, in an odd way. Bachmann makes a contact that sends Randy Marino into that half spin. And then as soon as Marino gets piled back up, that's Bachmann going around. And that's Jeff Bernard. Actually, not Jeff Bernard. That was Sean Casey. My apologies. Arriving at the scene of that accident first. And just blows his metaphorical doors off there as Bachmann tries to get back turned around.
One into another, these cars with their very strange missing rear bumpers whenever any contact seems to happen. I see it. I see it and notice it. Here's Alessandrini. Might be coming around on either his last lap now or his next one. No, next time across the line should begin his last lap if I know how to read a clock, which you can't always guarantee I really know how to read a clock at this hour of the day. So let me know. You've been talking a lot about SCCA drivers. I mean, we're getting very close to the iRacing SCCA runoffs, an event I am so excited for. I actually made it as a car onto official broadcast last season. I'm going to be trying to do a repeat of my expertise. Same cars as last season, it's been announced. Oh, on Road America. I love it because you get to bring out some of those slower clubman cars out around on an iRacing special event. And if you do the whole day, it's a marathon, but it's a fun one.
And I actually stuck my hand out to be on that broadcast, so we'll have to see if we can have a little like a driver and commentary kind of like unitement there, as the white flag is in the air. One more lap of racing action left here for DJ Alessandrini as he looks to try and complete what has been a brilliant drive for him ever since the drop of the green flag. I would say faultless is a right word to describe it, because he has put in a darn good performance here as he looks to cap it off with a win. Fench and Robertson on track to round out your podium. The gap has ballooned out a little bit between those two competitors, now about 3 seconds. Don't want to jump to a battle involving Edgar Sancinelli and Aaron Bray. This is a battle for P12 at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on these racers as they head their way into turn number 1. Here comes Sancinelli. Thought about going for the move on Bray, but just not able to be close enough. Closed up a little bit into the braking zone, but Bray still going to hold on to that spot unless something major changes here in the not too far off future. I think these two going to be essentially running a line astern as we get to the very end. Doing a touch on a battle that's going on. Bachmann trying to get that car back up and rolling, and currently duking out very, very racy stuff with himself and Jeff Bernard. That's the battle at the moment for one of the spots a little bit outside of the top 10, as meanwhile up at the front, DJ Alessandrini gonna win in comfortable fashion, 12.5 seconds at the line, and he's gonna give us a Max Verstappen-esque Austria finish. He pulls it off right after the race is said and done, and he toes back to pit lane. Not even gonna give us some donuts, man. Come on, you chicken. That was terrible. I apologize. David Fench finishes this race in P2. Kyle Robertson will round out your podium in third. It was close between Kevin Zhu and Casey Knight right at the very end. However, it did not result in a swaparoo between those competitors, as I'm waiting now. Oh, Jackson! I'm not sure who that was with a jump, but they hit it big time.
The jump is one of those fascinations on this track. I remember the first league I ever hosted, we had some drivers that would try and hit the jump in warm-up between sessions every single time. So I know where you can find the jumps on iRacing free tracks, let me tell you that. Alessandrini, so many miles ahead of the field. I don't know how you're going to be able to take him down for the rest of this season. That was a legendary performance, but that's what a lot of practice and a lot of dedication can get you.
And that right there is how you do that. A fantastic drive from Alessandrini as he caps it off with a win, gets a W. That is some awesome stuff. And we will get those results loaded up for you in just a couple of moments' time, waiting for some more racers to come across the line. Brandon Smith, I believe, is waiting to take the checkered flag, along with the likes of John Casey. Randy Marino may very well be the last. I will double check here, as a lot of racers did run into some difficulties throughout this race, but nonetheless a pretty fun way to get this evening of action up and rolling here on Slow Motion Broadcasting for race number 1 of Group 2 action. And I can load up the results now officially. We can run through them here before we move on into that Spec Miata race coming up here in the not-too-far-off future. DJ Alessandrini is your winner. David Fench slotted in P2. Kyle Robertson will round out your podium in third. That's Kevin Zhu in front of Casey Knight. Chuck Labano is classed in 6th with Ryan Campbell in 7th. Trent Kramer in 8th. Freddie Weaver in 9th. And Matt Thompson completing your top 10.
Plenty more to go. Josh Justice is 11th ahead of Aaron Bray. We have Edgar Santosalini in 13th ahead of Brandon Smith, Will Pierre, Seth Spolman, Charles Poley, and Bowie Suin. Then just 2 more drivers in that top 20. I'm not looking at the timing this time, so can you get it further back, or should I just keep going?
That right there is me trying to send a message to you. So
there we go. John Casey in 19th and Randy Marino in 20. I'd love to see it.
And just to confirm what I was going to send in that message, the Ian Anderson we had out there on the racetrack is not the same Ian Anderson that we cover over on the Formula Ford side of things, both in the show that we do over on another network and also in the Weekend Warriors as well. I believe he races in that series too. But regardless, looking through the rest of the field, we got Lucas Bachman in 21st, Jeff Bernard in 22nd, Joe Cicchetti in 23rd, Scott Brooks in 24th, Scott Russell in P25 in front of Ian Anderson in 26th, Brandon Carl in 27th. Joaquin Effinger will finish this race in P28. And now we've got ourselves Jeremy Morgan in 29th, Sean Gondon in P30, Charles Boley in 31st, Travis Trussell in 32nd, if I can spit my words out here, Tom Wendt in 33rd, Michael Kelly in 34th, Wayne Buttermore in 35th, Miles Crabb in 36th, Andrew Love in 37th, and Mike Key 38th. He was a driver that had the aerial acrobatics. I'm going to save the replay and probably post that as a YouTube short onto the SMB channel in the not too far off future, because that was absolutely majestic. But there we go, folks. That is race 1 action taken care of here tonight, and we do have a quick turnover to get over and do the Spec Miata broadcast, so we're going to take a quick break here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and we will be back with that Spec Miata race coming up. Stay tuned. Howdy everybody, welcome back here to round 1 action for Group 2 of the Ray Esports Club Racing League here at Summit Point. Just saw an absolute banger of a race with the Mustangs, expecting a good one and a very packed one here for the Miatas. We have got 40 cars, so may God have mercy on my graphics cards. Myself, Ron Maunz, and Howie Burroughs with you on the broadcast. Also pulling double duties. I am working on the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler. I can do everything that I've won here, I could pop up that subscribe button, I could take it out very quickly even though the animation didn't finish. I could also move us into the qualifying session as we take a look at the times that have already been set on the board. And let's take a look at the man that was already dominant in the first race. It's DJ Alessandrini once up at the front yet again.
This car is a throwback because I do remember driving this one on iRacing in the early days before they replaced it. It was on back in my early, I think I must have done like 3 races and I literally got DQ'd out of Laguna Seca entirely on off tracks and I quit iRacing for a few years. Quite similar to the current one, but an older model of the car with a H-pattern gearbox, so it's very much easier to misshift, it's much more challenging to get that thing into the right gear. The roof is a very recent addition, even though the car is long legacy. They did actually only add that this year as a way to differentiate the cars. I think it was quite a neat little change for them to do. I believe in real life they run that spec of car with the hood, so they added it, helps us tell them apart. So there's going to be some similarities to classic Mazda racing. We know these cars way lighter and more agile than the Mustangs. They're going to be a lot more aggressive. It's like rookie racing all over again, but with a lot of very strong drivers. You could see the lap times a lot closer.
Yeah, and speaking of the talent that we've got here in this series, don't want to focus on DJ too much because I think we already gave him a lot of love and respect in the first race of the evening, even though he is one of our colleagues here on Slow Motion Broadcasting with his action from the Liberty Bell series that also runs in MX5s. We'll actually focus on one of the drivers in that series. It's Michelle Lynn, who I was talking about in the first part of this broadcast with the other Mustangs a little bit earlier. Nice to see Michelle out there on the racetrack here in this always fantastic looking purple number 44 car. Looks very similar to the other graphics and the overlays we usually have on the XSLR shows here on SMB as well. But nice to see her out here on the racetrack. Nice to see some other Weekend Warriors racers. Howie, I know it's like God knows what, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning for you in the UK, and once again, thank you for doing this. I'll actually thank your slightly askew sleep schedule. But talk about commitment. Antonio Reis from Portugal out here on the racetrack. I think he's about an hour behind you, so it's like 2 o'clock in the morning for Antonio, if my math is doing me correctly.
It's 2 here, 2:30 here. I reversed my sleep cycle, woke up at midnight, and then Ron was like, hey, you want to mess up your sleep cycle? And I was like, it's already messed up, Ron. But that would make it 3:30 a.m. hitting the track. And I have raced in a few leagues where sort of like I'm showing up way too late. And I got to say, it's not easy to actually hit the track and concentrate and focus in those conditions. So I do very much respect people that can get it done out there.
Yeah, and Antonio, always fantastic in Weekend Warriors competition, whether it be in a Formula V, a Formula Ford, or a Spec Racer Ford, he is always up towards the top. As we got some other Weekend Warriors staples out here on the circuit as well. I'll quickly go through them right now as we get closer to the end of this session. Here's I already talked about a few of them. Of course, Josh Justice was out there on the racetrack a little bit earlier on this evening. Jason Kreider was not. Nice to see him out here on the racetrack. I'll have to cycle through the graphics to see. Oh, as that is a jump.
Hey!
Oh! Oh! He blew the motor up and turned his car into a helicopter. That's a new one.
This is one of those moments where we're happy it's a sim and it's not real. In fact, the fact that Charles Bowley is a meatball flag as well, I'm going to presume he did the same thing. It's quite hard to meatball yourself after getting a good lap time. I mean, that car got brutalized. There's all sorts of funny jumps all over classic iRacing circuits. I know a few people that have very and truly dedicated their life to hitting as many as possible, and that's one of the old classics out on here. They should never, ever change that.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it was sad seeing the Bathurst jump get taken care of, but if that gets just axed as well, I'll bring a tear to my eye. But no,
you were going to say something scary, and then you realized you couldn't on a professional broadcast, so you were just like, I'll cry.
See, if I'm being completely honest, I was simply just trying to catch my breath. Full transparency, it has been a day here. We have got 3 broadcasts on slow motion broadcasting today. We have the Ferrari Road Oval Challenge broadcast that's going on presently. We have, of course, got this here at the moment with Group 2 action for the Ray Esports Club Racing League, where nobody is out there on the racetrack right now, so we're just going to make all the graphics disappear and switch to scenic and pretend that nothing is going on right now. And then we've also got Sim Racers Group F4 action coming up here in about 15 minutes on slow motion broadcasting as well. So if you are enjoying it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the racing action. But as we still have a little bit of time, do want to let you all know that the sponsor of these Spec Miata broadcasts is Drive Trainer Motorsports. Are you ready to take your racing to the next level? Drive Trainer Motorsports is your new go-to for club racing in the Southeast. We specialize in getting road racing newcomers to the grid with car rentals, race weekend support, and driver development. Contact us on Facebook or Instagram and see what happens when sim gets real. We'd like to thank Driver Trainer Motorsports for sponsoring this season of Spec Miata action here on slow motion broadcasting for the Ray Esports Club Racing League. A lot of action to look forward to throughout this season. A lot of action to look forward to here tonight. And to get the action up and rolling, let's take a look at the second starting grid of tonight. And as you are going to see, it's deja vu with DJ Alessandrini starting from the pole position. Nate Himmelsbach set to join him on the front row. It's going to be Miles Crabb in third alongside Will Pierre in fourth. Caden Parks Miller will be in fifth alongside Christopher Hamilton in sixth. Kevin Zhu will be in seventh alongside Ryan Campbell in eighth. Michelle Lynn will be in ninth alongside her will be Ian Anderson. Seth Spolman will start this race in P11 with Chuck Labano completing the first page of your starting grid.
Praise be to the rolling start of a grid this large. We have Seth Spolman ahead of Chuck Labano, Antonio Reyes ahead of Trenton Kramer, then Fritos in 15th next to Michael Kelly, Matt Thompson in 17th next to Carl Robertson, and Aaron Bray in 19th with David Fent in 20th. Can you believe we're not halfway?
Yeah, we are not halfway done yet. We are, in fact, far from it. Brandon Carl got to start this race in 21st. Joe Cicchetti in 22nd. Charles Boley in 23rd. Thomas Pendergrass in 24th position. Scott Russell will start in P25. These cars are loud in my ears as they rev it. I cut to a camera that, in fact, makes it even worse. Scott Russell will be at 25th. Alongside him will be Jason Grider. P27 will be LaShawn Young-Dilworth alongside Joshua Justice in P28. Scott Brooks will start this race in 29th alongside Lucas Bachman in 30th. Mike Key will start this race from 31st alongside him. Charlie Vaccaro. Joaquin Eppinger will be in 33rd alongside Wade Buttermore in 34th. Brandon Smith will start this race in P35. Cole Lane starts in 36th.
Would you believe we're not done? We have Tom at the very back, Tom White, Jeff Burnsard, Freddie Weaver, Charles Bowley, Joe Camarelli, John A. Casey, Travis Russell, and Randy Marina. It might have not been perfectly in order as I looked at the live timing for that, but you got every name. Look at how many cars are on the field. I showed pity for you earlier, Ron. I would not wish this on anyone.
See, we had about 40 cars, 40 plus cars for round one, group one, last week here on SMB at Daytona. Had that for the Spec Racing Fords and the MX-5s. So keeping up with that race, I think the best way I could describe it was try tying a peanut butter and jelly sandwich onto the back end of a bear and dangle a piece of salmon in front of them that's tied to a fishing pole that's tied to their back and just set them loose with a fat kid following it. That's basically what we had in that race. I'm not sure where that came out of my head, but it just did. I pieced that together on the fly, but we're here for well, it's going to be some fun. We've already had a heck of a lot of fun here tonight, expecting the exact same as we get a little bit farther along here. These Spec Miatas, on their own, they're quite quiet, so I had to actually crank up the volume during qualifying. But when there's about 40 of them, you get to the point where my meter is getting sent off of my desk because there's so many cars. One thing that will one-up it here at Summit Point, though, a couple of seasons ago for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors, we had 56 starters, and I decided to go through that entire starting grid on my own.
The things you do wrong, the things you do. Worth noting on this track, on these cars on this track, as we're going to see big ascends into Wagon Bend and the final turn, as cars just really are a lot lighter and more agile here. Draft a fair bit stronger. That exit, cars are going to fly wide and try and use every little bit they can to get down that start-finish straight. I think draft's going to be plenty important. You could even see bump drafting from people trying to make a big enough distance from the field. As we're going to run down one last turn and begin the green flag. Going to be a lot of cars going sideways on the road, so let's keep the eyes pointed forwards.
Yeah, this is going to be potentially a horrifying start for some, an exciting one for us in the booth, and probably our vocal cords' worst nightmares. But let's get up and rolling for the second race of the evening. The Mustangs put on a good show. Let's see what these Miatas can do now. Waiting for that green flag to come out, which it has now, and the drivers are on their way. Already some drivers running into each other a little bit farther behind us, all bumper flying, but we are out to green flag racing with DJ Allison getting off to a dream start. Miles Crab already sticking at 3 wide as they head their way down into turn number 1. The driver that started this race on row number 2 looking to jump into P number 2 as he doesn't get over Nate Himmelsbach, but still trying to clear Will Pierre as they head their way side by side and 3 wide heading into turn 3.
There's space to do that here, but the next turn is going to really test how brave you want to get. Very tall curb on the inside, but most drivers at the front of the field have made it. Hell, I think we're going to see more aggression. We're going to see more dives and sends. These cars have pretty good ABS. They should be able to break in hard for some of the tough corners. As we enter the carousel portion of the track, things slow down a fair bit, and it's about keeping your business to yourself for now. It's a big track out there for these cars as compared to just how small it was for the Mustangs. Bit of a bump there on the outside of the car behind Michelle Lynn. I believe that was Ian Anderson, who is running something a bit more generic this time, but I'll be real, I still love the colours. He's going to tuck in behind Trenton Kramer. We're going to see how the first run down the start-finish goes for these guys.
Yeah, it's still side-by-side racing, in fact, between Ian Anderson and Chuck Labano. And look right behind Michael Kelly, trying to get a piece of this drama as well. But speaking of drama, we still got up at the front. DJ Alessandrini has not been able to pull away. He's still trying to shake off any other challengers as Nate Himmel's back about 7, nearly 0.8 of a second, right back in tow. As I'll jump back to the battle with Chuck Labano and everybody duking it out for spots behind. Contact being made around a bumper cars as they head their way down into turn number 1 and 2.
Who's that on the inside there? The 56 of Michael Kelly that just saw that and thought, I'll take that, and sent it right up the inside past the whole field. That's one way to gain positions in that Super Chicken car. I feel like others might be a bit annoyed by it as we see some running wide in the gravel, but all's fair in big stack-ups and check-ups into the first turn. Kelly's now going to try and find a way to run away. As Adrini, he is going to be ridiculously fast out here. 7K on the field, would you believe it? But it's going to be harder to run away in this, I think. There's a bit more of a draft factor, and I think it's a car that it's got a big skill difference between the best and the worst, but more people are more used to what it feels like, and that means that I think the racing is going to be closer all the way to the end. Look at that license out in there. It's called bushwhacking, I think, in NASCAR, isn't it?
Yeah, that is what it's called. I guess they can never really change it, because I guess when it was called Nationwide Series, they couldn't really call it insurance fraud. When it was Xfinity, you couldn't say that you're cutting the cable, and I'm not sure what they could do with O'Reilly Auto Parts. I guess returning the parts, I guess, I don't really know how they could do it. So bushwhacking is just the term that has stuck over the years. I think that's a good term. That's a nice way that I like to refer to it. But nonetheless, before we get too lost up in the discussions here, we got some battling going on a little bit farther behind involving Aaron Bray and Charles Boley. That's a battle for P19 and 20 at the current moment as we see these racers starting to duke it out. Kyle Robertson also going to try and get some moves done there right in front as he's now battling with Joe Cicchetti. So the battle's going on all throughout this field. I always make the jokes when it's you in the production truck, Howie, on some of the shows that we do, how you have to be like a chameleon looking at 16 different things at once. This is pretty much it. You gotta be like a chameleon looking at 20 different things at once when you got 40 cars on a racetrack this tiny.
You've got to throw a dart at the dartboard and just hope that you've chosen correctly. Ultimately, there's so many storylines on a track like this that, you know, you can sort of just pick one, and there's enough interesting stuff happening everywhere else. Here's behind a Joe Cisensi's car. I've said that wrong, and you said it right just before. Name pronunciation's like the worst thing I do, so SMB is going to have to get very much used to that. The 215 just behind, hopping the curb, going a fair bit wider. Doesn't do much for speed, but these cars do have quite the draft down this straight. I want to see how powerful it is. It's not going to be massive, it looks like, but it genuinely just looks like LA traffic and this whole row behind.
And based off how poor the visibility is comparatively compared to what was a little bit earlier on tonight, it does feel like LA, as there may have been a classic LA car accident heading down to turn number 1. Scott Russell has gone off the circuit heading down into 1. I think there may have been some more racers collected and all that. We'll take a look to see exactly what went down. He just went for a dive. The monster car heading off into the turn. Unfortunate for him. Garden State Racing Team, you know, I will say this, considering I've lived in Philadelphia all my life, that's pretty much the common courtesy maneuver in the state of New Jersey whenever you're behind the wheel. Just misses braking marker a little bit down to 1. Went for the dive to try and avoid making any rear end contact with the car right in front. So good sportsmanship there to try and avoid any further drama. Speaking of drama, we've got it in spades, as that's Jason Grider getting spun around.
Cars getting in each other's stuff right now, all over. As I said, this car is going to encourage a lot more bravery. It's encouraging those slightly crazy dive bombs into turn 1. And because there's so much space to run side by side, it's very easy to run out of that space because some of the corners really quite test you. I mean, unfortunately on a field like this, you have to wait for the entire pack to get past you before you're allowed to rejoin the circuit. That is a heartbreak. He is on board for the incident. Just a little bit of a love tap from behind to send them around. It's always unfortunate and annoying. And just look at what you have to wait for in order to rejoin the track.
I will also say these cars bit on the older end when it comes to iRacing, so they do have an H-pattern gearbox, which is very tricky to try and handle. I know from my personal experience, I was never able to get the downshift from 4th to 3rd. I was never able to nail that down in my time driving this car, and funnily enough, it was, gosh, I would say probably back in March of 2024. It was right as I got started commentating on the Weekend Warrior stuff. It was actually beforehand, that matter. I had just finished up my first season commentating the old Tuesday night Ray Esports Club, the old Ray Esports Racing League before it became the Ray Esports Club Racing League. Just finished up my first season commentating the old Tuesday night league, and we had a little like preseason event. Got to drive around the likes of Mr. Stevie Ray, Michelle Lynn, Josh Justice, and a certain Mr. Morgan Burkhardt, who appeared in that race as well. Had 2 races. First was in the Spec Miatas, where I absolutely sucked and was terrible. Second was in the Pro Mazdas. Pro Mazdas I did pretty good. The only person that beat me in the race was Morgan, and I started that race from the pole. So I was pretty darn good in that, and that is still like my proudest sim racing achievement. The fact that I only came up second to a driver who's in IMSA and is, frankly, he's got more talent in one of his fingers on his left hand than I probably do in the entirety of my body, frankly. But nonetheless, I always like to focus on the Spec Miatas because that was the more comedic thing. I was heading down into turn number 1 at Long Beach one time. Tried to go from 3rd to 4th, and not only did I miss the gear, the bracket holding my old Logitech H-pattern shifter on this sim rig that I got, well, my dad got for me on Amazon, that probably came from a warehouse in China back in 2018 or 2019, I can't remember exactly when it was. The bracket broke as I went down a gear, so you can imagine how unnerving it is when you try and shift a gear and the shifter goes with you.
Would you believe I'm still rocking a desk and a single Moser wheel? It started as a Logitech. I mean, I've hardly evolved in all of my time here. Alice Adrini not getting away from P2 Nate Himmelsbach. So this is not at all the same runaway we saw on the first race. As a fast driver there in P2 able to keep up with our dominant over 11-second winner last time around. But These cars are going to encourage this closer racing between the two, and at some point we're going to see a pass for the lead this time. Is how you pitch the car into this left-hand turn, touch a little bit of gravel on the way out, but not too much. Make sure you leave enough kitty litter on the track for the next one, and then you throw it into the chute and have to slow down almost immediately as soon as you've done that, just to make it through the rest of the circuit. It looks like he's gaining at every opportunity, but there's only really a few big passing zones, and they're all in the first half of this track, which makes it quite unusual.
Side-by-side racing going on involving Ian Anderson, Michael Kelly, and Matt Thompson. Kelly actually hops the berm nearly, heading down to turn number 5. Gonna lose out on that spot now, side-by-side battling with himself and Matt Thompson. This is a battle for P14 at the current moment, as Anderson gonna look to try and utilize that spot, get that opportunity fully grasped in his hand, and then just try and drive off into the sunset. Holds on to P13 at the current moment in the 147 machine, as Michael Kelly and Matt Thompson will duke it out behind for those spots there, as we continue to see the battling all around this racetrack. Actually, some a little bit further up the road, it's Kane Parks Miller in that number 13 machine in the Drive Trainer Motorsports effort. Nice to see that car out there on the circuit. Currently in the midst of a Weekend Warriors sandwich, as you've got Trent Kramer, the 444 car, right in front of Kane Parks Miller, and right behind Miller is Michelle Lynn in the 44. So there are 5 4s around the 13, and the 13 looking not to be a harbinger of chaos. It's I'm trying to think of what it is that Trent Kramer may be feeling. I think the correct medical term is triskaidekaphobia, a fear of the number 13.
I angle for the number 13 because no one else wants it. And does that make me an agent of chaos on the track? It could. Quite frankly,
potentially.
I'm a bit of an agent.
Just generally. That's mean. I'm sorry.
I am an agent. I know I am an agent of chaos in general. Trust me. You trust me. Here's Kevin Dew. That is the old BAR Honda design on the Mazda. Someone's going to sue, but he's in a 3-car pack. Christopher Hamilton ahead and Miles Crab behind. And they're all taking to see if they take the same or different approaches entering this final turn. I'll be real, I thought the draft effect was going to be a little bit bigger. Really, it's just going to be about exit speed, because if you have enough exit speed, you're going to carry that momentum up and forwards. It's a long run down here in a slow car. Trust me, I'd love to. You know what I want to see? I want to see the IMSA iRacing Series field go here. But car ahead, he ducks to the inside. So he's going to make it hard here for this pass to be executed. An outside line, a lot more distance to travel. Christopher Hamilton set that up in advance. The 131 in tow, though, going to try and disrupt 2. And the thing about having that outside line, it gives you inside in the next turn, but the run was good enough on exit.
Yeah, nice move from Hamilton as, nice move from Hamilton. Nice move from Robertson on Hamilton. Am I getting this right? Yes, I am. Second tries a charm. I'm all over the place, right? See, you get to the point where trying to produce a race with 40 cars, the commentary begins to suffer ever so slightly, but I hope you are enjoying this show here tonight on Slow Motion Broadcasting, folks. If you are, happy to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the racing action. Some shilling about as slick as 80 grit sandpaper will always get you out of a missed call. That is a lesson that I learned from the Columbia School of Broadcasting, that not to do your own hair and make sure that when you think the microphone is off, that it really is off.
Not even halfway through the race, but we are through the first third and the halfway marks approaching. Big chase here for P17. Carl Robertson is the driver in 18 from Charles Bowley's up ahead, but there's plenty in tow here, and I feel like they're all waiting for a mistake on the car ahead. This is such a definitive run down this train. Just look at how long this train goes. And we'll see again if the car ahead, just like earlier in the race, takes the inside. I think they're actually giving each other a bit of a push down that straight, maybe trying to get away from this long serpent, because it would help to get some of that pressure off the back.
Like a giant serpentine of cars heading their way through there, as it is still a pretty hair-raising at the front of this pack, as we follow Kyle Robertson at the not exactly at the full front of it, as Charles Bowley is at the front of this train. Has his license plate has got a fantastic view of the battling that may be going on a little bit farther behind, as you can listen in Oh, stuck in gear there. Boley trying to find any way in the book to get into the right gear. That's the thing, manual car, so you do have to worry about clutching and heel towing, doing all that jazz. The footwork can help you out a decent amount here in these cars, but can also hurt you pretty badly. You won't have to worry about replacing a blown clutch in iRacing. However, you will have to worry about the time loss that you can pick up. These cars are so tricky to try and manage. Not only are they a little bit tricky just to try and drive on the racetrack at full speed, having to worry about shifting all the time and using that clutch pedal, because you can't just lift and shift, or you can't just flat-footed and shift. You pretty much have to do regular clutching and heel towing in this. It's one of the most strict cars in terms of what it will and will not allow for you to do out there on the circuit, as here comes Kyle Robertson with the dive. He tries to take that spot, and he will, but the stacking up behind, not going to end well. Boley goes up in the air.
Boley tries to change his mind a bit mid-corner, realizes, oh, I can't give up the inside this easily, but someone else is already taking that opportunity away from him, and just like that, the race gets taken away from him. Here's the view. That inside obviously hugely given up. He's running wide, and then another car's going to take that chance and jump it right in. You've been talking about getting slowed down by the gear shifting in this car. Let me tell you, the bigger risk is blowing the engine. I've seen it happen on races for massive prizes. Someone doing a bad shift and wrecking the thing in one go. Not seen one of those yet, but this is the car wrecked in another way. Oh, the car in front is quite slow on the outside, and that means that Boley's trying to take evading action at the same time. So it's a very difficult situation for him. I do have a lot of sympathy. His car's down now at 26th.
Yes, I think there's been some more drama involving the likes of Thomas Pendergrass. I gotta say, fantastic name, fantastic livery on that car. Unfortunately for him, he's got meatballs. That's going to take him out of contention here. Same could also be said about Charlie Vaccaro. Some damage on the front end of that race car, so he will come down pit lane as well. So unfortunate for those two to get involved in their fair share of drama, but they'll be bringing those cars back down to pit lane, bring it under normal speed, and they will try and get those cars repaired within due course. In the meantime, though, we jump back to the racing out there on the racetrack. This, of course it's out there on the racetrack. Where else would it go down? In the paddock? That'd be quite possibly dangerous. This is turning in slowly but surely into a battle for the podium, as Will Pierre, despite the fact he showed some very good pace early on, he is starting to drop back as we get closer and closer to the end, now past the halfway mark, a minute and a half past the halfway mark. With how tricky these cars are to drive, the gaps really tend to fluctuate.
Yeah, this is now where some drivers will be able to lock in just a little bit more, get the perfect laps done, and start to get their positions locked in. And really, it's the battling further behind that has sort of continued to define a lot of this chase. Here's Christopher Hamilton that's still leading over Kevin Zhu and Miles Crabb. Not much has changed in that way, although Hamilton has been running good laps and being able to make some distance ahead, so it's looking pretty stable for now. I think maybe drivers trying to be patient. There's still actually quite a bit of time to go, many laps around the track, many chances.
Yeah, so despite the fact that we are past the halfway mark, still a lot of racing left to go here this evening. So keep an eye on all the field, keep an eye on all these racers. Going to give us a whole lot of battles to talk about between now and the very end. Here's the one that we've been keeping tabs on, slowly but surely developing. DJ Alessandrini has not really been able to extend that gap to himself, and Nate Himmel's back to over a second and a half. Keeps teetering around that 1 second barrier, which is, it's enough for Nate Himmelsback to remain in the draft, but not really enough for him to go for a lunge. Now, iRacing drivers do tend to be bold, and fortune does favor the bold. I remember learning that from someone in my life who had a pretty bad gambling problem. It was actually my great aunt. I'm not saying that she really had that big of a problem, but she did have a medical alert bracelet that said, in case of emergency, split the kings. But sometimes a gamble can work on iRacing, but a 9/10 of a second gap is pretty much insurmountable into one braking zone alone.
I do think Himmelsback is not going to be able to do this unless he pulls off an amazing lap, and the gap has been growing a bit. I mean, not enough to get him out of the way, but if Alessandrini just runs laps like this, I do feel like it's going to be very, very difficult to challenge for that race win, although as I said last time, a P2 on the road against a driver this strong is always something to be very, very proud of. He's still going to see what he can do about it, though, because it's not totally impossible.
Yes, still not completely out of the question, as that's a driver with a blown motor right in front. That right there is Jeff Bernard. Yeah, you're worrying about it. It looks like we've elected a new pope from the looks of it. Actually, no, the white smoke means they've elected a new pope. The black smoke means that they have not. So we still don't have a pope, fortunately for Jeff Bernard, in that Frito Sport car. I think it may have been a money shift. I've got to try and reel this back as, quickly as I can. Unfortunately, they tell you when a driver goes off the track. They tell you when a driver does this, then the third. But when a driver turns their motor into sheet metal linguine, they don't actually let you know of it.
Charlie Vaccaro also has a meatball flag. I wonder if there was an incident that started that, or just another blown engine. This is going to be sad to watch. You're going to hear the iconic iRacing noise. I can't from my perspective, so I might just sit back and wait for it.
Gotta crank up the engine. Gotta crank up the noise. Let's listen in, folks.
I'm almost here. I swear.
It's here eventually.
Give it enough time, we make it.
Number 5, yeah.
Give it enough time, we make it. All right. But
I think it's probably down to turn number 5, so I think we are getting up to it. So I'm gonna shut my math here again. No.
Still no. I mean, we're close to the scene of the crime now, surely.
Oh. What in the world?
Were we on the wrong lap, Ron?
I swear, I'm going back at the right time. This was right before he went into pit lane. So, we're going to go back to live action. I'm going to try and find a closer call to the... That was the first thing that popped up before he went into pit lane, I swear.
Buttermore also meatball flagged, by the way. Pendergrass meatballed. Drivers taking some hits everywhere.
Marino with a DQ as well. So this has been a pretty disastrous run for him. As you know what we're going to do? If we want, I'm gonna leave this into your decision making here. As there's another blown motor. Oh, those falling anvils are coming down on all of these racers. The money shot on the motor. Look at the smoke as they head their way off through turn number 3. That is a horrifying sight as Miles Crab gonna try and thread the needle. Holy cow! That could have ended in tears as he tries to get that move done and does get it done to jump his way up into the top 5. I'm gonna leave this in your. I will leave the ball in your court here, Howie. Whether or not we want to look back and hear the money shot for Jeff Bernard.
Only if you know you have it. I'm not doing another lap where we don't have it.
What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back and, rewind from it. So you will be seeing the cars go backwards.
Let's rewind. Let's rewind. We're going to get... it's my favorite sound in all of iRacing. I live for this.
So, I think we'll utilize this as a good opportunity to say if you're enjoying this backwards action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, you should probably hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on the racing action or the chronicling of a blown motor as it was actually well beforehand. Holy cow. This was quite a while.
I love the way the smoke's going back into the car.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's like the blown head gaskets and all the stuff is just filing back in, like transmission fluid, everything of the sorts. You name it, and we have got it coming back into the car. As I think this may have been.
How did he run a whole lap like this?
Don't tell me. Even then,
he did it into the last turn.
Did he do it? Okay. I swear that. Was he running with a blown motor for about a lap and a... Okay.
Oh, that is a horrible place for it to happen to. Oh. Hate to see it.
Yeah, you really do. That's a shame. Okay, thank God, DJ Allison. I was about to say, if Allison Drini like had an incident as we were rewinding, trying to see that car blow its motor up, and Allison Drini lost out on the lead, and Nate Himmelsbach inherited it, I would have just completely revoked my ability to produce another iRacing broadcast from now until the day that I die. But he has not.
Fate. That's just what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's worked out quite well because we have now got ourselves about 6 minutes left on the clock and a battle for third. God dang it, okay.
I could name who was responsible for that if you want. But,
everybody knows who. That's Mr. Adam Thompson. See, the worst part is we can't tell him to stop doing that because he was the founder of the company. So we can't.
I'm learning a lot about SMB today, such as the owner of the company might go meow in your broadcast. Okay, good stuff.
The more you know. The more you know. Indeed.
I think he did this to me on my first day on purpose. You know, that was like a trick.
Good. No, I was gonna say something. It's like a hazing ritual essentially, but for a broadcasting company when you just have the founder meow into your ear. That race cars.
Would you believe it? We're pretty close for P3. Will Pierre, no chance of catching the car ahead, but he's got 4 behind him. This pack of 3, we've seen them battling all race. But now they're in the chance for a podium. I don't know if it's Pierre's been slow or these 3 have simply been fast, but I think Christopher Hamilton is just going to try and go for this, almost giving him a push down these last few turns. This is not a realistic passing opportunity here, but it's very possible that the next turn and the exit and this infamous straight is, they could work together to get away. They do have more laps, or he could make a move for it now. Christopher Hamilton running as fast as that Miata engine can go. The inside line being chosen by Will Pierre. Everybody's behind. Here comes Hamilton on the outside. He's going to have an epic outbreak in order to have momentum to somehow makes this work. And instead, there's contact. These cars get a little squirrely hard on the brakes, and that could give up that P2.
I'm not sure what noise came out of my mouth there, but I can tell you what, folks, it hurt my vocal cords. Pierre and Hamilton making contact as they head their way down into turn number 1. They still run nose to tail, got some lap traffic to worry about a little bit farther up in front, as that was Kevin Zhu having a pretty close call coming out of 3. He's now side by side with Miles Crab. The battling for the final 2 spots inside the top 5 going to be intense as Zhu goes for it down into 5, and he jumps his way up into P5. So well done from him as you worry about that lap traffic right in front. That right there is LaShawn Young Dilworth in the 888 machine going to have to worry about when and where he lets these competitors go by. The problem is with how old school of a racetrack this is, not really a good spot to let your competition go past, but he will get it dealt with well ahead of time, heading his way under the bridge down into the final corner right now with Christopher Hamilton right in tow.
P3, always a wonderful position to have, and he's going to make another shot for it. Last time that car got a little bit squirrely under brakes. It can do that when you get into the ABS. You shift the weight so much to the front that it sort of loses its ability to turn properly. This time he doesn't have the same run. How epic is the late break going to be? Not quite. Pierre knows if he holds that inside line hard and well, it's going to be hard to beat him out on exit unless you send it from a million miles away.
So we got some 3-wide racing going on screen. Oh, there we go. Oh, Jackson. That, I think, was Antonio Reese who just blew his motor up. Yes, it was. I'm not sure if you heard that. I certainly did, and that went out on the broadcast. I can tell you that much. Antonio Reese becoming the victim of the blown motor. So let's listen in.
Lots of hard braking zones on this track, so you can see how it happens.
Oh,
gear
Jackson.
Shift too many, and your entire race goes backwards. Remember when they gave this to rookies? They were like, this is the first thing you'll do in iRacing, guys. In order to get to the GT3s that literally have like auto blip kickers and you can't blow the engine if you try, you're first going to have to go through the pits of hell. That's what they told all those drivers.
Oh, I've blown up a GT3 motor. It wasn't down to me doing something bad with the engine. It was just down to me crashing into a concrete wall at about 150 miles an hour. Yeah,
I've
a
also
quick
seen
way.
plenty of people like blow them on the grid. They're like, oh, I'll rev the engine for an hour. Oops, I'm out of the 40-minute race now before the race has even begun. Another shot to go for it for the 15. I think he's got a better run this time, but he's failed to brake perfectly to hold that outside. That inside is so strong, and I do feel like Kevin Zhu is going to take advantage of the space that's been offered up. Still not quite it. I don't know how many more chances he's going to get, but it looks like Hamilton taking an ideal line through that bend. No, Pierre took the fast one, and in fact, Zhu's going to be all over that rear now. I think Pierre's going to get away with this.
I'm not even going to pay attention. I'm not even going to acknowledge the license plate on the back of that number 15 car. Kevin Zhu holding on to
I love that. Sorry, I love that.
See you all next week. Good night. Alrighty, that's I can't even do that. We got some good racing action going on out here on the racetrack. It's still a battling going on right now. I thought the meowing was bad. That may have been worse. Will Pierre holding on to P3. Christopher Hamilton slotted in fourth. Kevin Zhu holding on to that final top 5 spot for now. But we got to worry about this battle once again flaring up between now and the very end. Do want to give some love to some racers that are duking out right behind us. Kane Parks Miller and Ron Campbell. They're duking it out. This is a fight for P8 and 9 at the current moment. We'll see what this can turn into as that's Parks Miller running wide off through the final corner. Gonna lose down that spot as Ron Campbell gonna blow Caden's doors off, heading his way onto that start-finish straightaway as we got the battling going on right in front, side-by-side racing between Zhu and Hamilton. And I want to keep on this very briefly as the pandemonium really breaking out a little bit farther behind, involving Anderson trying to get moved on a Matt Thompson as Chuck Labana, Michelle Lynn, and Michael Kelly right behind in tow as well.
People realizing now's their last chance, and it's going to be dive after dive after dive after big move. Well, watch for someone to try and drag race it to the line. We've not seen it successfully yet, but you have the whole race to basically try it out and work out what might work. So count on someone to make a move like that before we're done today. Here's DJ Alessandrini. 2 wins for 2 runs today. It's been a fantastic day on the track. This one less easy, but he's well and truly proven that he is one of the fastest drivers out here on the road.
Yeah, and that he certainly has, as DJ Alessandrini gonna get the double here and go for the jump. Oh, Jackson. Oh, that's a big one. Himmel's back going to go for the dive too. Nope, he does not. Will Pierre and anybody else go for the move? Pierre holds on to the final podium spot, as we'll see if anybody else is going to try and go for the jump. Oh, that right there. Who was that going for the... I'm not even sure the best way I could describe that. We've got some bizarre things going on out there on the racetrack. I'm not really sure how to chronicle all of it. We'll let you know, though. DJ Alessandrini, incredible night of racing action from him. Gets a double, gets the win in race 1, gets the win in race 2. That right there was Michael Kelly. Oh, my goodness.
I love to see it. These cars are meant to have the new damage model, and I'm afraid we have upside down cars on the start finish. This is the ultimate celebration, okay? Like, thank you, iRacing. I'm sure someone put that jump there, and I hope they know what they did. I've never heard you I've worked a lot of shows I've never heard you make a noise like that, Ron.
Oh my goodness.
You deserved it.
Just as soon as I cut to that like roof shot with Freddie Weaver, you can just see a car dive off into the heavens. Just bing, up in the air. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is the hardest I've laughed in quite some time. Sleep deprivation maybe has done its damage to me. I realize I have no room to talk, considering it's still Wednesday for me and it's Thursday for you. So I will I will leave it at that and say that if you enjoyed that jumping, stay tuned into an SMB YouTube short, because it's probably going to end up over there in the other not too far off future. As let's take a look at the results from this race here tonight, the second one of the evening, and just as exciting, if not even more exciting than the first, with a massive field of race cars. We got a lot of races that we have to go through here. DJ Alessandrini is gonna get the win. Nate Himmelsbach slotted in P2. Will Pierre will round out your podium in third. It's gonna be Christopher Hamilton in fourth. Kevin Zhu in 5th, Miles Crabman 6th, Trent Kramer in 7th, Ryan Campbell will finish this race in P8. It's Caden Parks Miller in 9th, Matt Thompson in 10th, Ian Anderson in 11th, Chuck Labano in 12th, Michelle Lynn in lucky number P13, Michael Kelly will finish this race in 14th, Seth Spolman in 15th, Edgar Sancinelli will finish this race in P16, with Kyle Robertson, Brandon Carl, and 2 more that I have to go through here right now. Joshua Justice and Joe Cicchetti completing your top 20.
So many still to go. We have David Fench in 21st, ahead of Scott Russell, Freddie Weaver, Scott Brooks, Charles Bowley, Tom Wendt, Brandon Smith, Lucas Bachman, John A. Casey, and Travis Russell in 30th. Jason Gritters in 31st. We have Joaquin Effinger in 32nd. We have Layson Dunn Dilworth in 33rd. Aaron Bray in 34th. Jeff Bensard, then Cole Lane, Wayne Buttermore, Antonio Reyes, Thomas Pendergrass, and Randy Marino. Would you like to do the last 4 for me? I just feel like that's a nice treat.
I think it's actually broken the other results page, as it won't scroll anymore.
Well,
there we go. There's a WD-40.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go through this for you. Charlie Vaccaro, Mike Key, Joe Camilleri, and Charles Bowley completing our 44 drivers that are classified. 44 drivers at Summit Point. That is man. See, if I was just commentating this, I probably would have broken out the numbers and do everything surrounding, like, oh yeah, how many cars is that per foot? It's probably like 1 car every 150 feet. That is just pure unbridled madness to see everybody packed in that close as we went throughout this race. But it does look like we have some drivers looking to have a chat with us here at the end of this first broadcast for this Group 2 season. So we're going to get the interviews up and rolling here in the not too far off future. I think, Howie, I will let you do first honors of having the chat. I'll let you have the pick of who you want to bring into the broadcast booth.
I literally only see one person. What do you mean the pick? I see Will Pierre.
Okay, see, I right now have got the both production screens up on my one single monitor. So
well, we got Will Pierre. We can do Will Pierre. Will Pierre, what a busy day out there on the track. You had a battle that ran all the way to the end. Look us through how that combo felt.
I didn't practice, so I was kind of figuring it out as I went. Qualifying was my practice, and I realized I was off pace of P1 and P2, and once P4 caught up, I just committed to being the widest Miata possible.
I mean, it's certainly difficult to be a wide Miata, but I do think you pulled it off there on the track. This classic Miata, apart from the gearbox that caught plenty of drivers out, what else really differs in the way this thing handles from the modern classic?
Honestly, it feels pretty similar. I think it's a little more pushy. That could just be a setup thing. I didn't do any setup changes, so I didn't get to really experiment much with that. I do enjoy the H pattern a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the way iRacing does stuff, but I do love just driving manual cars and heel towing, so it's a very fun car.
And Summit Point in this, it's almost an all-time classic. You seem to hold the inside on that first turn very, very well to stop cars from coming through. Where else were drivers a threat?
Honestly, at Summit Point, if you are even like a half second off pace and you're in front, you can make your car wide enough to get by. Turn 1, I think, is the only really vulnerable area here, and as you saw, I was just going full defensive every single time. If someone gets a good run outside of 1, like someone can force around the outside and then dive up the inside and get a cutback, and if they're brave enough to go through 2 side by side, that's a passing opportunity. But otherwise, I think 1 is pretty much it. Or if you get a bad run coming out onto like just before the final corner.
Charlotte Roval up next. I gotta say, I'm addicted to that track, especially the old version where you have that like lovely little turn up the hill rather than whatever that death hairpin is. But I do think this car takes to it extremely well. How do you feel about it?
I really enjoy the Charlotte Roval. I think that this car will be a lot of fun there because it's just such a momentum heavy car. It has so much grip and no horsepower, and really rewards consistent and clean combined cornering.
That makes 2 of us. Tracks like Marmite, but I tell you, there's something to it in this car that I run to on the Rookie Series every week. Any other thank yous or shout outs?
I think I'm going to thank Esports for hosting this. I had a lot of fun last year, and I'm trying to make the time to come to this one too. I completely missed qualifying in the Mustangs because I was coming late home from work and didn't even get to do a full lap. So I started at the back of the grid on that one. But I really enjoy the series, and I hope to get some more finishes and podiums in the coming events.
Well, it was exciting across 2 events. I focused a lot on this one because you're up near the front, but it's been a busy, fun day of racing for sure. Looking forward to seeing more of you.
All right. Thanks for the interview, guys.
I can't drag him all the way back because Discord UI doesn't work. I'm going to put you up one channel, but that will wrap that up for now. I don't see anyone else actually lined up at the very moment.
Yeah, so I think we need to stock up on the snacks that we've got here on the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server. Need to stack up on the Fig Newtons. I'm trying to think of some other like discontinued snacks that we could put up there. Have the Smarties, both of the American variety, where it's pretty much just powdered flavored fruit sugar that's packed into a pill, and also the chocolate ones, which are basically like British M&Ms. If I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much what Smarties are in the UK, aren't they?
I mean, like, so we do have M&Ms here, but like Smarties, they have a much more like flavored sort of outsides here, which rather than all sort of just being different colors, they all have a different, very sweet flavor to them, and I can't stand them, but you know, that's about the difference.
See, I was like always a big candy kind of guy, and I do like my fair share of candy as well, which is part of the reason why I'm a bit on the porky end. However, ever since I had to burn an eye-watering amount of money after I had to get a root canal done about 2 years ago, I decided to you know what, I think I'll have a salad every now and then, which is a sentence that I think teenage me would have probably cried upon hearing. But nonetheless, we still have a lot of actions to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. We've got you covered in terms of the action pretty much week in and week out. And speaking of, let's go through the shows that we have got coming up here right now. The Formula V Weekend Warrior is going to be running at VIR on the North configuration this upcoming Saturday. The FF1600 is going to be running at Long Beach, which is a nice little site-out broadcast. Of course, love the Weekend Warriors, but it gives me some good base of knowledge for a Formula Ford broadcast that Howie and I do together over on another network that I cannot mention by name because I actually am deeply involved with the operations here. So anyways, the Spec race for Ford is going to be at VIR as well on the Grand configuration, or as I like to call it, the sad tapeworm of the VIR Grand Course. That track is a behemoth. XSLR are going to be running at the Daytona Rallycross layout for the opening round of their rally section of the season. Meanwhile, SRG F4 action going to be at Aragon. SRG F3 action will be at Donington Park, and then you can see running back for another round of Weekend Warriors action the weekend after this one. So it gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the racing action. Allie, your first broadcast here on SMB. I'll get some last words in before we fully wrap things up.
I mean, a broadcast of Ron very much ends the same way very often, but I mean that in a very good way. It's why I keep coming back. I love seeing these sort of cars, remnants of a different age, run around an iRace, and they race just as well as they always have.
And I will also say I've gotten some words of support from my own father, who says, welcome aboard from the other side of the pond. You did a marvelous job tonight on your debut with Slow Motion Broadcasting. Howie, awesome to have you. And keeping our fingers crossed that we'll be able to work together on some more SMB shows in the not too far off future. But folks, I think that'll just about do it for the round 1 action for group number 2, the Ray Esports Club Racing League here at Summit Point. Once again, our thanks go out to all of the sponsors that we had throughout tonight's show to bring this group 2 action to life here for the Ray Esports Club Racing League. Talked about Drive Trainer Motorsports a little bit earlier on, the sponsor of the Spec Miatas. I also want to give a thank you once again to ittyBitBetter and JayBastBlast on Twitch for making the Mustang part of this broadcast possible as well. But folks, I think that'll just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Howie Burroughs with me on the broadcast here today, I say thank you also very much for tuning into the action on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.